we'll just take a moment and let some more people come on into the space. Those of you that are viewing us across the various social media platforms, as well as on LaQuita's Toolbox Live TV on Parade Deck and on the Daily Faith Network, where we're being broadcast across Roku TV, Amazon Fire, Apple TV channels as well. Welcome to the audience there. And those of you that are watching us on LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live, thank you so much, as well as on Facebook. We appreciate you for coming on in today. And listen, we have an amazing guest in the studio with us on today. And so you guys know the drill, get something to write with and something to write on, because in just a few moments, we're going to have a great conversation with Miss Cheryl. And Cheryl is going to be sharing some amazing things with us about how to overcome subconscious blocks and move from a place of block to a place of power. So you guys don't want to miss this. Stay tuned, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons, and we'll be right back with you in just a few moments. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, guys, thank you so much for your patience. We had a couple technical difficulties, but that's how technology works. We appreciate your patience with us on tonight. Listen, I don't want to keep prolonging this. Let's go ahead and introduce to you and bring to the stage Miss Cheryl. Miss Cheryl, how are you on today? We are absolutely excited about having you on as another amazing guest on LaQuita's Toolbox. Okay, I see two of me, Jesus. Not two, not me and Miss Cheryl. Let's see what happens next. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That was a time when I used to do these and having technical difficulties, I would have completely and totally panicked out. But over time, you get the hang of it. All right, look, there she is. How are you this evening?
Oh, I am well. Thank you so much, LaQuita. Thrilled to be here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Listen, Miss Cheryl, welcome to the Toolbox. How have you
Thank
been? You've been doing great. Thank you for your patience through some of our technical challenges on tonight. So, and because we've had a couple of those, I want to just jump right into our conversation. But before we do that, We do have people that are watching us live across various social media platforms, as well as broadcasting across Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. So if you would, please take a moment and introduce yourself to those that are watching on the LaQuita's Toolbox platform.
All right. So I'm Cheryl Stelte. I'm a spiritual coach, master healer, and three-time author. Just published my third book, so that's super exciting. And
Yeah.
I help women who know that they're meant for more, and they've got subconscious blocks. They know they're blocked. They don't know what those blocks are, and so they really lack clarity on how to move forward and what moving forward really could possibly look like. So they're feeling lost, their confidence level is far from skyrocketing, and they need serious help. And
Mm.
so I've been doing this for a very long time, and a lot of people say to me, Cheryl, you go deeper than anyone else ever has, clearing what needs to be cleared to stop us from attracting what we don't want and behaving in ways that we don't really understand or want to behave. So it moves you to a whole new level of being.
Yes, that so we had a really good conversation just a couple of days ago, and I don't want to give too much away about that conversation, but I will say that subconscious blocks is a major thing in the life of women. I mean, it's the major thing in the life of humans in general, whether we recognize and understand the subconscious blocks that we need to overcome. But I would say, especially so when we don't recognize them and when we think that they are a part of normal operating procedure. And so let's do this. I know in our previous conversation you did a great job of breaking some things down, and I was hoping on this evening that we could go a little bit deeper and talk about how can one recognize the subconscious blocks that they have to overcome.
One of the easiest ways to recognize the subconscious blocks is you feel it. You have this
Mm,
sense of uncertainty. There's often self doubt that goes with it. And science has proven that subconscious blocks, our deepest wounding, is all encoded in the right side of the brain. That's why they call it, it's a subconscious. So when you have subconscious blocks, a lot of women will say to me, I think I might have experienced sexual abuse, but I don't have any memories. So I don't really know.
mm, mhm.
And science has proven that if you have any kind of trauma whatsoever, you're never going to have linear memories. They're always
Mm,
fragmented because when trauma is stored in the right side of the brain, it's through physical sensations and emotions. So a lot of times the anxiety we're experiencing can be a symptom of having subconscious blocks. We're
okay.
hooked, we're triggered, we're having physical sensations. Um, and if your life isn't going the way you'd like to, if you keep doing everything right, I get a lot of coaches these days who are like, I'm doing everything right. All my coaches tell me I'm doing everything right. I've been doing it for 6 months or a year, but I'm not attracting my ideal clients. You have subconscious
Mhm.
blocks. Doing everything
Mm,
physically possible with your mind, with your body, and yet energetically it's not happening. And so that can be shifted quite quickly for you. Anything
okay.
can be shifted quite quickly.
Okay. So when you and I there's so many things that I could ask because we often hear that, I've dotted the I's, I've crossed the T's, I'm doing the work, but I keep getting either the wrong type of client, I'm not getting any clients, and I've got all of the systems in place. I have a coach. I'm doing these things. What am I doing wrong? Or even on another hand, why can't I seem to get started and stay started? Or why I have this start, stop, start, stop? And what I hear you saying is a lot of those things, all of those things can be attributed to either unrecognized subconscious blocks or subconscious blocks um, that we won't deal with.
I like it that you added that in. Thank you, Laquita. You have no idea the power in your words or that subconscious we won't deal with
Yeah.
because often what happens is we push these things deep into the subconscious, we don't want to face it. And so,
Mm,
even the one thing that we didn't include that people might be doing are all the mindset work. All that mindset
mm,
work, it's not
mhm,
working. How many people out
mm.
there, put a chat if you can, how many of you have done mindset work and it doesn't work? I'm not
Yes.
against mindset work. It's great. You need to
Mhm,
do it, but it will not overcome your subconscious blocks. And so and so why do we is it sorry, I've gotten off track with your question. Um,
no, no. Go
why
ahead, go
does that
ahead.
it's we need the energetics. What
Mm,
happens is, say you start a new business and you're coaching. It's a new coaching business, or you've moved to a new level in your business. So what that
mhm,
is that's what I call it's an empowerment step. It's an
mm,
empowerment. You're more in your authentic power than you ever have been. And what'll happen is whatever stopped you from doing it before will come up to be healed.
mhm.
So this
Right.
is a part of life. If you want to keep growing, and humanity is growing fast, so fast today
Yes.
compared to 30, 40 years ago, what I used to experience as a young adult, we had nothing like what's going on today in the world. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. And so if you think of it this way, people used to stay in jobs for 50 years.
Yes. Yes,
People
that
do
was the
that.
norm, 20, 30, 40, 50
Now it's
years. Yes.
careers. How many careers have you had, including staying at home and taking care of your children, etc.? And so we're growing. Humanity is evolving faster. So it's like we move more
Mhm,
into our light. And that light shines on the darkness, shines on those wounds that want to
mm,
be healed.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. I really love how you put that. One of my favorite things to say, and I'll just paraphrase phrase it, change. As you said, we're evolving as people, we're growing, we're stretching, we're breaking out of old norms and creating new and improved things, such as I'm not going to stay on a job for 50 years. And I love that you said, how many careers have you been on, including being a wife and a mom, because that's full time, that's overtime, extra time that we don't quite, put the uh, proper emphasis on. I can just think in my own life, I've probably transitioned careers maybe 4 times, and I haven't been on the planet that long. I haven't been here that long, but the things that I've done throughout the course of my life has changed, and I've learned that change isn't bad. Change is necessary, because we shouldn't be the same person today that we were 10, 15, 20 years ago, even last year. But change is necessary, and we shouldn't fight it, but we should embrace it as long as the change is taking us in a good, healthy direction. We should embrace it. Whereas in times past, fighting change and being different was considered counterproductive. But now what I hear you saying is, and what I believe is, no, that's normal. That's the new normal. It should have been the normal then, but that's the new normal, and we have to learn to grow with it. And it's our subconscious blocks that we won't deal with, or unrecognized, that prevent us from this type of growth.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And so we're kind of all in this together. And that's why even the coaching industry, it was predicted a number of years ago that this was going
Mhm,
to boom, and it's booming, and people are doing other things. People want fulfillment. You hear the word purpose so often. You see it
mhm,
everywhere. What is my
mhm.
purpose? And so I would just I would like to share, how can you access these subconscious blocks and clear them so that you can move into that next level of authentic empowerment in your life.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, please do that. Before you do that, let me take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, dive right into that, because I really want to hear it. I have my pencil and my paper so that I won't forget. I'll be taking notes. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. And we'll be right back in just one moment after this quick commercial break.
Are you ready to take your... Then it's time to join the conversation on LaQuita's Toolbox. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or someone just looking to level up, this show is packed with powerful insights and real strategies to help you succeed. Imagine yourself here, sharing your story, your expertise, and making a real impact with an audience ready to grow and thrive. With LaQuita's Toolbox, you'll be inspired, empowered, and part of an incredible community that's all about winning. This is your moment. Don't miss the opportunity to be a guest on LaQuita's Toolbox. Unlock new doors, connect with like-minded professionals, and elevate your brand to new heights. Ready to make your mark? Head over to www.laquitamonley.com, LaQuita's Toolbox, and sign up to be a guest today.
All right, all right. Yes, guys, if you are interested in being a guest on LaQuita's Toolbox, head on over to the website, click on the link to book now, and I'm happy to see you on our pre-call. But listen, Miss Cheryl, you were just about to dive into an explanation for us concerning the subconscious blocks, how we can recognize them, and what we can do um, to set ourselves free from them. So I'm gonna mute my mic and I'm gonna take some notes.
All right, all right. And I'll just say that it's also all right here in my third book, From Blocked to Powerful. And so the steps
Yes.
are laid out in here in great detail, but let's share it here today. Um, so there's three steps that you always want to remember. And so it's easy to remember as the ACE method. So I always get a visual
Okay.
of an ace of spades. If you ever played cards, the ace of spades is often, I haven't played cards in decades, but so you just think of an ace. So A is for access. You want to be able to access them. So it's pretty hard to do. You're confused. You've done everything you can. You don't even know what they are. So the way we access scientifically is
Mm.
proven. This is a method to get you into that right side of the brain, and it's called the full breath. You can breathe with the lower abdomen. So LaQuita, if you can just go along with me, put your hand on your lower abdomen, and everybody that's listening, and have your thumb at the level of your navel. And I want you to breathe using your lower belly, not your chest. Don't worry about anything else. Let your shoulders relax, and you're just breathing with your lower abdomen, and breathe with long, full breaths. So 6 to 8 seconds in and 6 to 8 seconds out. And you just do that, and it changes the brain function. So, LaQuita, when you and I were talking, this back part of the brain here, the medulla oblongata, is what was in charge of our breath as we were breathing and talking. As soon as you engage your abdominal muscles, that brain function moves to the frontal lobal brain right here, which
Mm,
is a good
mm.
thing because the medulla oblongata is now freed up, and it's the place that's in charge of your subconscious. So yes, it's
Okay.
right brain, it's limbic system. The brain is very complex. And the other thing that this does, it activates the vagus nerve and calms the sympathetic nervous system. So if ever you're having a reactionary response, if ever you're triggered, you can go to this. So what I like to do is close my eyes and go inward, and you can focus on a chakra or just focus in your heart, focus inside your body, and breathe in this way. And you can set your intention. I want to know what my block is. I want to know what my biggest blocks are. And the number one place I like to focus my eyes is the root chakra. So the chakras are a system, a series of energy centers in the body. And the root chakra is at the tip of the tailbone, so deep inside the body. So you bring your eyes, your focus down to the back of your body, and you're breathing there. And I said earlier that trauma is not stored with linear memories. The way it is stored is with physical sensations and emotions. So you want to pay attention to how you're feeling, what your emotions are, and you want to notice any physical sensations. Almost always, when I do healings on people where they didn't have pain before the session, they start having pain. I'm having terrible pain in my arm or my neck. And that's the body releasing the subconscious block because it's stored energetically. And so I invite you, you can just breathe in there and ask yourself questions. Never say why. Science has proven when we ask why, it's almost impossible to get the answer. But what? It's often, what is it I don't want to feel? What is it I didn't process? So it's been proven that when children don't have an ongoing emotional resource, which when I grew up, that wasn't a common thing for people to talk about their emotions and have emotions encouraged like they are today. And so a lot of children grow up to be adults where they didn't learn that it's okay to talk about your emotions and feel them, or they weren't able to process them for whatever reason as a child. And so those emotions get stuck. They are stuck, and then they build energetic patterns. So you can breathe down into them. And eventually you'll get clarity. Some emotions will come up, and you might want to turn the other way and not face those. And I encourage you to just face them, feel into them, because it's like a clogged plumbing pipe. You know, we are energetic beings. Energy is meant to flow through us. And so it's like that plumbing pipe has a clog in it, and it's like you just poke at it a little. That's the emotion. You just poke at it a little bit, feel it, and it loosens up and flows. And so you just feel it enough until the emotion dissipates. And you can also do what I call follow the emotional thread, and you go deeper into the deeper layers of emotions, and then those are released. And with those emotions, there's often subconscious beliefs that you might feel. So it's through the breath that you move to step 2, which is clear. C is for clear. It's important to stay with it, stay in your body, and keep the belly moving. Even if you start to cry, even if you have a painful feeling of sadness, it's okay. Just try and keep breathing through your nose. Let yourself cry a little bit or a lot, but keep the breath going. Because as soon as we stop that breath, it stops the flow of energy at the same level. You know, sometimes you can remember having a good cry about something and you felt better, but then it comes back later on. That's because it's not cleared. If you keep breathing into it, it won't come back. So with the clear, it's staying in your body, keeping the breath going. And you can even go back to early childhood, as early as being in the womb. I cannot tell you how much healing I've done in the womb where somebody's mother was under such distress and the fetus picks up on it. The fetus feels it and often carries those emotions through their lives, even up to the age of 70 or 80. I have dealt with this sort of thing. And so you can become that younger self, whether you are 5 years old or 20 years old or 1 month old or even in the womb, and breathe into the emotions. So you can take a situation that you're having today. Let's say you're having trouble in a relationship and you keep feeling angry at the other person. Start with the anger. Then you go into what is underneath the anger and what is underneath that emotion. And you go down to the deepest emotion and follow it back. And asking yourself, when did this first begin? And once you clear it to a certain extent, then you can ask yourself, what were your subconscious beliefs at the time? And I like to say that there are 4 core wounds that we all have based in subconscious beliefs that we don't even know we have. I mean, maybe some people are aware, but usually we're not. They're in the subconscious. And those are, I don't matter, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough or not good enough, or I'm unlovable. And it can be one of those 4 or all 4. So I'll just repeat those because I said those quite quickly. And it doesn't have to be in any particular order. Unworthy, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not enough or not good enough, and I don't matter. And those 4 can branch off to into all sorts of other subconscious beliefs. Might be something like, if you have the subconscious belief that you don't matter, it might be what I want doesn't matter. How I
Mm.
feel doesn't matter, right? What my needs are don't matter. My needs don't matter. I don't matter. And so the empowerment piece is just the greatest piece. So once you get through those two hard bits, they're always challenging. You can move into the E is for empowerment. So A is access, C is clear, E is empowerment. And while you continue to breathe, you can reparent your younger self. You can reparent your younger self and give your little self all the love they need and let them know. I always say to disarm first, so you can just silently on the breath say to your little, if it was a little 2-year-old self that was suffering, you didn't deserve it. It wasn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. It's always the parents or a caregiver or somebody, but they were wounded too. So it's kind of
Mhm.
not really their fault either. And so it's not so much about forgiveness, it's reparenting. That's our responsibility. And you love that little one up, and you can imagine yourself holding them and loving them and taking care of them and telling them everything they need to hear. And then for about a week, if you tune in with them every day, you will continue to move into a much more empowered place, and you continue to do these practices, you will turn your life around in no time.
So with those subconscious blocks, like there was so much to the things that you said, and when I'm thinking about the the subconscious blocks, the thoughts that I'm not worthy, or the thoughts that I'm not lovable, or the thoughts that I don't matter, or the things that I want, or the things that I seek to do don't matter. Those are probably, no doubt, they are very common, and can branch off into so many different things. And as you said, we have to be willing to do the work in order to deal with the ones that we have, whether it's one or two of them. But I love that you said it could be all of them. Like, we could be dealing with all of them. Now, what what are we going to do about it? Are we willing to do the work, or are we content to remain stuck? I'm going to go out and say the vast majority of us are not content to remain stuck. That we are wanting to do the work, but perhaps unaware of how much work that's going to take, and how deep, as when you one of the things you said, uh, how deep we have to become in tune with our own emotions. Because I can just think, in my life and the lives of some of the one people that I know and love and trust. Today, yes, we're encouraged to deal with our emotions, express our emotions, talk about it, all of that, all of the great stuff. But growing up in times past, that may not have been the case. And it may not even be the case in some cultures right now. But still,
Mhm.
if you're that individual that's, listening to this live, and you're willing to do the work, then then let's do the work, and know that the work is I'm sorry, I am causing an audio issue with my phone that I was taking notes on. So I'm gonna turn that off. All right, that sounds better. The noise is gone. So, are we willing to do that work? And if your answer is yes, do the work. What I hear Cheryl saying is the work starts in me. The work starts on the inside, in my mind, in my heart. And am I willing to deal with it? And am I willing to do the things that are necessary to help me heal, to address those traumas from a younger version of myself, whether from in the womb, infancy, teenage years, middle school, adolescent, young adult, last year life, like wherever those problem areas are. Am I willing to not necessarily submit to the problem, but am I willing to say the problem exists, and here's what I've discovered that I need to do to fix the problem? And for those of you that are saying yes, I say congratulations, because it has to start somewhere. And we have to be willing to do that work, to go from um, blocked to powerful. Put the picture of your book up again because I need them to see that. Go from blocked to powerful. Because just because we've been experiencing emotional, we process something in a way, and we've always processed it in this way, does not make it correct. You know, a long time ago, I learned that our mind, or whether we call it the subconscious blocks, I'm a Christian, so in my faith, we may call them a stronghold. Everyone calls it something different, but it's generally some thoughts that at some particular point kept us safe from harm, a way of life or the way we do things that at some particular point in our lives kept us safe from harm. Even where you were saying we had the fragmented memories, some things happened to us and we just developed a coping mechanism that kept us safe from harm. But
Yes.
we also have found that the very thing that we put in place that can keep us safe from harm, that same house of thoughts, if I say it like that, or I- I'm a military family, so they built forts long, long ago to keep people safe. And those walls kept us safe. And so just imagine those thoughts, or the way you do things is the walls of that fort. And what I hear Miss Cheryl saying, if I'm interpreting it correctly, those same things that you blocked and put up to keep you safe are also the very things that can keep you from getting what you need to live a fulfilled life. So those same walls that kept the enemy out, that was trying to hurt you, are the same walls that will keep out the fresh water, the nutrients, the food. It will keep out even the ammunition that you need to rearm yourself to go. So those walls, we have to figure out how to break those walls down so that we can then flow freely as ourselves. We can receive the help that we need. And if I'm interpreting that correctly, please let me know, because that's the thing that was the visualization that I was getting as you were talking, that when we're dealing with subconscious blocks, because they impact us first, what put them in place was us, and we have to take them down. We put them in place to keep ourselves protected, or someone said some very negative things to us along the way that says, okay, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I just realized for myself that I'm not good enough. Now it's no longer about what you were told, but it's about what I believe now, even though no one is telling me that anymore. So I've got to break that down. And what are some of the things that I can do to break that down? Um, that negative thought has to be replaced with a truth.
Something.
I'm not going to say positive, but it has to be replaced with the truth. And the truth is the exact opposite of what that negative subconscious block has said. If I'm tracking correctly, please jump in at any time and let me know if I'm not.
That's great. And I love your analogy of the wall, because the wall is comprised of the emotions. So
Mhm,
when you said you have to bring that wall down, that's all those unprocessed emotions. And then the fresh water can come in and nurture us. And it's impossible for that wall to go back up again. That's gone. That wall is done. And now you have the fresh water. That dam no longer exists. And the empowerment, like you said, it's usually the opposite. So if we have the feeling of, I don't matter, what we start to realize is I matter so much.
mhm,
I have a contribution to make in my own unique way. And we feel it. It's experienced. It's not just a thought in your mind. It's
mhm,
not just a thought. It's like, I never even dreamed I would be doing the work I'm doing today. This was never a goal, never a thought, never a wish. and it's and as I continued to, do my own work, it just sort of evolved, and here I am. And I've been doing this a very, very long time. Very, very long time. 31 years is how long I've been on a very strong
mhm,
spiritual journey, and helping others. So it's so much about that, and then staying with it. And the empowerment piece
mhm,
is, you always want to continue. So if you start to feel that sense of, I matter so much, and you really feel that in your being, to breathe that in,
Mm,
breathe that in, and continue with the lower abdomen. I've worked with a number of women who really struggle with receiving. How many people
mm,
out there have a hard time accepting compliments? How many
yes.
people have a hard time
Yes.
really letting genuine love in?
Mm,
Vulnerability. Someone else's
yes.
vulnerability, really let in, receiving. And I had one client a number of years ago, and she's a client again today. She's in a higher level program, but she couldn't receive anything. And so I said, I'm gonna, so we did a lot of healing around it. I said, I'm gonna give you an empowerment practice. Anytime anybody says something complimentary, or says something kind to you, I invite you to put your hand on your heart and say, thank you, I received that. Let me breathe that in. And then I want you to breathe it in. Inhale the energy of what that person just said, their kindness and caring, into your body. That
Mm,
changed her life so much. She changed careers. She was making a ton of money, 7 figures, in a business that she hated. She was miserable,
mm,
exhausted, and she realized she was a spiritual leader. And she just pivoted, changed course, and is doing fantastic. And it's, so you can do things like that. It's with the breath. Remember, it's up to you to reprogram your subconscious. And
mhm,
your little when you're reparenting that little 2-year-old is going to tell you the truth. When you're
mm,
reparenting your little 5-year-old, that little girl or that little boy will tell you the truth. They didn't
mm,
get to tell the truth. They didn't get to access the truth of their being when they were small. They never experienced that. And that's where you will find your truth. That's where you're going to get the clarity that you need, is deep inside yourself. You remove those blocks and you can't help but understand. And sometimes discovering your greatness can actually be pretty overwhelming. Oh my gosh.
mm.
When
Yes.
I
Yes.
discovered I'm meant to be doing this work full time for the rest of my life, I had a meltdown. Imposter syndrome can come up, and then you have another whole can of worms to deal with, but it's okay because you can just release the block from accepting that. And then once I
Mhm,
accepted it, okay, all right, this is my soul's destiny, and you can step into it. You can step into anything. So the empowerment piece is super important, but you can't skip the access and the clear. It all goes together, ACE.
I really, really love that you brought in um, that fear of success. I'd had a conversation maybe about a year and a half ago with another coach, and she was doing some work with in the area of subconscious blocks and helping women to recognize them and how to heal from them. And when she was the first person to tell me that fear of success is a subconscious block, because and we were in the podcast live like we are now, and she said that, and I was like, "Wait, excuse me? How does that work?" And as she walked through it, I was like, "Oh my God, that is my problem." Like that is one of my problems. And so I really love that you said that this evening, because oftentimes we don't attribute a fear of success and being overwhelmed by that success as a reason to why or how people get stuck or why they
That's right.
won't move forward. Right. And so, yeah, I love that you said that, because that I believe that some ladies need to hear that on this evening. Some ladies, some men, young people, old people, people need to hear that on this evening, that it's not just fear of failure that hinders us, but it could also be a fear of success that you don't even realize that that's what it is. Because we
That's
could
right.
have been in, you could have been in a struggle for so long that you hate being in the middle of not enough. You absolutely hate being in not enough or just enough to get by. You don't like that. You don't like that mediocrity. But you've learned how to navigate in that mediocrity and that mediocrity has become familiar, so I can navigate it. But the things that I say that I really want, the areas of more than enough, I'm afraid to go there or to deal with the things I need to deal with emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, so that I can really um, obtain and maintain the true destiny that God has for my life. So that fear of success is real. And I don't know about you, but I think that the fear of success hinders more people than the fear of failure.
That's a great comment, and it would be interesting to see if there's been any studies on it, because a lot of times we don't realize we have that fear of success, and that's what keeps us mediocre, right?
Mm,
It's that fear of success. Oh, I must stay small to be acceptable, because we may have other subconscious beliefs that we're not even aware of. Oh,
hmm
rich people are snobs, or something like that. So of course we don't want to be rich, be a snob. Acceptance is so important to humans.
hmm
We're
hmm
tribal. We are herds. It's acceptance is very
Very,
important. And so
very.
successful, what will people think of me? I remember that coming up. Oh, what will people think of me? You know, it's it's not, it's so many things can come up. And so then
hmm
there's you level, but you keep going and you keep rising up. It's incremental. So
hmm
you keep going up, and you can turn around and look back and go, wow, I'm so different. I have changed and grown so much,
Yeah.
so fast. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you start to do things, so you become a different human. You become a different person. I never thought I would write a third book. I did for many years think I will write a book. And then I wrote one
hmm
book and I thought, great, I wrote my book. Done, right? Oh no, then the second book wanted to come out, because I wanted to share with coaches, how to really be an energetic client magnet. And then I was done for sure. That was it. That was
hmm
a few years ago. And then I was so guided to write this book, but that's it. And then I had to laugh, LaQuita, I have to hear this, people. I've been doing this work 31 years. So I grew through writing each of the books, including my third book. And then when I finished the third book, and I looked at the title and I thought, who are you to talk about being powerful? That's what I thought after
And
I wrote the book.
yes, yes. Some of my lowest moments in my life come after some of my greatest highs or my greatest victories or my greatest successes. Like, oh my God. You
It,
go from
it,
literally a mile high to under the valley in like 3.5 seconds.
that's right.
People are
But
still
that
saying congratulations, and you're like,
and that's I moved into the light of my being, finishing the book, and I was so proud of it, and I was so excited to get it out there. And so the light, then there was a little piece in me that still, who are you, who do you think you are to call
mm,
yourself powerful or to write about this? And so that light shone on that bit of darkness, and I had a good laugh, and I did the work that I do. I walk my talk, and poof, let that go. Yeah.
wow, wow. Listen, that is so wonderful. Look, listen, guys. Michelle, you've been sharing some amazing stuff, and I like to honor people's time, but I do sometimes have a tendency to go overtime, and I'm trying my best to behave on tonight and honor your time appropriately. But you have shared so much great information with us tonight. I want to make sure that we don't leave this broadcast tonight without letting people know where they can find you. If you could please make sure that you put your information in the chat. I will go back into the chat here as well after the broadcast and put out some more contact information. But please let people know where they can find you on social, your website, all of your relevant contact information.
All right. So if you just Google my name, Cheryl Stelte, you will find me. My website, and Stelte is S as in Sam, Telte. There's that E on the end, Cheryl Stelte. And my website is starofdivinelight.com. So all lowercase one word, starofdivinelight.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I think I'm on Twitter. I used to be on Twitter. You will find me YouTube. I've spoken on a number of podcasts. I love speaking on podcasts. To me, it's, this is podcast. It's all throat chakra. Let's do this together. And I love the community that comes together. So I am on Apple and Spotify.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Listen, in this last um, several minutes, you've had so many gems, so many tools that we can pull out. But the one that most resonates with me in the moment is, even as you were saying about how you felt after you wrote your third book. What that says to me is there's always room for growth. We never stop growing, no matter, as long as we're breathing the air that the Lord has blessed us to breathe. We will always continue to grow, and we should always continue to seek to grow and to improve. You know, one of in my book, Redefining Success: 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. One of the one of the tools that I wrote about in that book, it's we have to understand that growth and that change, it is acceptable, it's necessary, and it is indeed healthy to continuously redefine and refine your definition of success as often as we need it, because it needs to grow as we grow. We are not a stagnant. Humans are not stagnant. We don't just stay the same. We have to grow. And because we grow, that means we consistently need to do work to improve ourselves. Well, that was my puppy, y'all. One
That's
day I will introduce you to Shaka.
I
Oh my
can't.
God. This has been an amazing live. And I know I've grown, because there was a time where that would have just frazzled me. This entire podcast would have frazzled me from the beginning until now. I would have been frazzled, because why is it not perfect? But it speaks to even what we've been talking about tonight. That's some work that I recognized in myself. I could have said, oh, well, we want to do all things in excellence because I want to make sure I'm giving a great client experience, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, on the surface, that's true. But the real truth was that was something inside of me that needed to be dealt with, that I felt like if it wasn't perfect, then I wasn't good enough. It wasn't worthy. And that's just not true. It's the podcast and the work that we do as podcasters and guests on podcasts. We're worthy because we were born, and now we have a platform that we can go, utilize to talk about it and to help other people. As we've been helped in our journey, we can use these platforms to continue to help other people. So I just wanted to get that out and say that, because I needed to say that. But so, Miss Cheryl, tell us again and show us the cover of your book, because this third book that you didn't know was coming, that is, yes, blocked to powerful. Blocked to powerful. Because I guess, without saying, if we remain blocked, if we remain uh, and allow our subconscious blocks to stay in place, we'll never get to that place where we are the powerful women that we were created to be. That's my assumption of what you're saying with that title.
That's right. And it's a spiritual guide to unlocking clarity and authentic power. So it is full of exercises. I call it my legacy book. So from multiple modalities, a lot of my favorite things that you can do, I have the ACE method in there. And really, the one thing that I want all women to know, and men, but primarily women, is that you are all powerful beyond belief, powerful beyond what you can currently even imagine. So you
Mm,
imagine the greatest goals for yourself, and they do
mm,
not measure up to your true
mm,
potential.
Mm.
and your true authentic power. And one of the things I love about the work that I do a lot of chakra readings, and I can let you know where your subconscious blocks are, where your energy is flowing well, and what your superpowers are, which is a whole lot of fun. And LaQuita, I would like to offer you one of those for being such a great host here tonight. And and I've also noticed, and we were talking about this a couple days ago. One of the things
Yes.
that I see is when people pray well, I
Mm.
always
Thank you for
I
bringing
can
it.
immediately
Yeah.
see, like, oh, do you pray? And they
Yeah.
say, yeah, I do. How do you know? I'm like, well, you have this. It's There's always this light that comes up off the heart. It comes off kind of on an angle and shines
Mhm.
up out in front of the face, and it goes upward. And so it's an energy that is formed when you pray well,
Mhm.
when you're really into your prayer. And you can use that as a superpower to help yourself heal and become empowered by, instead of praying to God outside of you, instead of praying to Jesus outside of you, to turn that around and pray to God or Jesus in your heart,
I love
where,
that, and I'm
where
so
they
glad you
exist.
brought that. Like, me and my producer were talking about that for about 15 minutes after we finished, and it's amazing because I know that you don't identify as a Christian, but in what you saw, it was it is very scriptural. Jesus is in our heart. He doesn't desire to reside outside of us. He desires to dwell in us, in our hearts. John 15 says he has to abide in me and I in him, and that we become these new creatures in Christ Jesus after we have given our lives to Christ. And so it's Christ in us, the hope of glory. And so when you said that, I'm like, my God, that is powerful because it is absolutely true. Absolutely true. When I won't get off on that tangent, maybe on another podcast, but just yes. Maybe
We could
on
maybe talk about that for a whole podcast, but if you think about
Yes,
it,
I could.
we
Like, I really could.
that it's from the mind. We may be praying to Jesus, and Jesus is a statue or is a being, abstract, whatever, but we listen, we read the scriptures and everything. I was raised Catholic. I've studied multiple. I believe in Jesus. I mean, come on. There is, and and yet we know Jesus is in our heart. So why don't we pray to Jesus in our heart? Why don't we focus the energy? So I will give one more tool today, if I may, if I may
Yes,
jump in here, Laquita, one more tool.
yes.
When you are praying, when you're saying your prayers, do them as heartfully as possible. You can even put your hand on your heart, pray to Jesus in your heart, pray to the God in your heart, and use the full breath. Slow it down. Slow it down and mean every word, and hold that in your body and see what you experience. And you will actually start to experience light. I promise you. Keep doing it.
You are it's like I should have you on for a whole different podcast just to talk about that because that is what is called breath prayer. It
Oh,
it is
okay.
called yes, yes.
I didn't know. Well, now I know.
Yes. I am so tickled. I'm just so delightful. Like, I'm just delighted. Absolutely. Absolutely delighted. Like,
I
that
have to write
is
breath prayer. I
breath
will.
prayer.
I
Yes.
promote breath prayer.
Yes, breath prayer. I want to call the Latin word for it, but I don't wanna mess it up. So
Okay.
I'll email it to you. It's
All right.
Leo Defecta or something like that. I can't say it right, but I can send it to you in an email, and you would be absolutely thrilled. Like, you have no idea. Well, you're about to because I'm gonna send it to you. How spot on you are. Like, Jesus isn't supposed to be as like you were saying, you were raised Catholic. He's not supposed to be this distant, far off entity, but
No.
he resides here. And
Yes.
you can tell when a person has an intimate relationship with Christ because his his spirit. that's what you're seeing. Like the Holy Spirit just shines brightly on the inside of us in our hearts. And when we are exercising different forms of prayer, and breath prayer is one of them, and you described it accurately, like accurately, it produces so much healing, and you get so much clarity and revelation. And y'all, my producer is saying I ran over my time, so I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna do good. We definitely we'd have to talk about this because yes, I'm so excited. So excited. But uh, Miss Cheryl, thank you so much for being an amazing guest tonight. Your patience has really blessed me, and I look forward to having some continued conversations. And I am ordering the book and reading the book as well. But before we go, I do want to give you an opportunity. If there's anything else that you would like to share with the LaQuita's Toolbox audience, please feel free to share those tools now.
Oh, I'd be happy to. One, do the breath prayer because it does actually create light. I've seen it. So I know what you're talking about, Laquita. But also listen to your body's wisdom. Your body is the vehicle that your subconscious speaks through. Remember the physical sensations. Ask your body, ask your younger selves. All your answers are within you, and you are meant to be powerful beyond belief.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for those amazing words of wisdom. They definitely resonate with my heart. Listen, guys, you guys have been so amazing. Those of you that are tuning in on the live and those of you that are watching on the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay in the comments. Listen, I will be right back here again next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for another amazing episode of LaQuita's Toolbox Live with another great guest, Mr. Archie J. Jenkins. You don't want to miss that show because he has all this amazing energy and he's going to talk to us about the power of PR. And you don't want to miss that next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on LaQuita's Toolbox Live. Until next time, you guys be blessed and have an amazing rest of your day. Take care. God bless.